I was helping my daughter color at a cafe window table when she suddenly stopped, her crayon hovering in midair. She leaned closer to me and whispered in that serious little voice children use when they notice something adults often miss. "Daddy, that lady looks sad." At first, I thought she was distracted again, ready to invent a story about some stranger. But when I followed her gaze, I saw her, a woman pressed against the wall near the entrance, try her best to blend into the shadows. To everyone else in the cafe, she was invisible. To Lily, my daughter, she wasn't. And in that moment, I had a choice. Stay silent like the rest of the crowd, or do something as simple, yet as heavy, as offering her a seat. The cafe was alive with its familiar weekday rhythm. Cups clinked against saucers. The espresso machine hissed, letting off sharp bursts of steam. The low hum of conversations braided with the rustling of newspapers and the tapping of laptop keys. Businessmen hunched over glowing screens, brows furrowed in tight focus. Students sat surrounded by towers of textbooks, pens gliding across lined paper with mechanical precision. Groups of friends leaned close, their chatter spilling like warm sunlight across polished wooden tables. The air smelled of roasted beans, buttered croissants, and a faint trace of rain carried in on coats. It was the kind of place where people came and belonged, even if just for an hour. But not for her. For the woman by the door, the cafe wasn't refuge. It was a stage where every table was already cast, and she hadn't been given a part. Her name, I would later learn, was Sarah. She stood rigid near the corner where tall window shadows met the wall, her hand wrapped so tightly around the strap of her bag that her knuckles paled. The leather was cracked at the seams, worn soft from years of use. It pressed against her chest like a shield. Her eyes swept the room once, then again. At first, there was a glimmer of hope, but it faltered quickly as table after table silently closed itself to her. A businessman glanced up, then dropped his gaze back to his screen, shoulders tightening. A cluster of students shifted their books closer, closing off an empty chair as if to barricade themselves. Others didn't even acknowledge her presence, lifting mugs to lips or leaning closer into private conversations. Her clothes told a quiet story. A blouse neatly ironed, though its hem had faded with time. Shoes tied carefully, though scuffed at the toes. She had tried, clearly, to make herself presentable, but effort couldn't hide the exhaustion etched into her face or the way her shoulders folded inward, as if beneath a burden no one else could see. She told herself she was only waiting for a seat, but her stillness betrayed another truth. She wasn't waiting for coffee. She was waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be seen. And no one was looking, except my daughter, at our window table. Sunlight stretched across Lily's sketchbook, scattering over half-finished doodles. She was humming softly, filling the page with explosions of color. Red spirals, shaky blue circles, stick figures holding hands. She pressed the crayon so hard the paper nearly tore. "Pretty good, huh?" she said, flashing me an expectant grin. I smiled and brushed a lock of hair behind her ear. "Better than good. That's a masterpiece." Her laugh bubbled out, pure and unguarded. For a moment, it softened the edges of the busy cafe. But then she froze. Her humming stopped mid-note. Her eyes, big and searching, wandered to the woman near the wall. She tilted her head, studying Sarah's nervous grip on the bag strap, the way her weight shifted uneasily from one foot to the other. Lily tugged my sleeve. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice sharper this time, like she discovered something wrong. I glanced down. "What is it, sweetheart?" Her little brow wrinkled. "Why is that lady standing? Everyone else has a chair." She looked sad. The simplicity of her observation stopped me cold. I followed her gaze again, and this time I truly saw Sarah. Not just a figure by the wall, but the way her whole body braced for rejection. The hollowness in her eyes. I felt something stir inside me, an ache I recognized from too many nights spent alone after loss. Lily tugged harder. "She shouldn't stand there, Daddy. She needs a seat." I exhaled slowly. I could have told Lily to finish her drawing, pretended not to notice like everyone else. But her words carried the kind of truth children are born with, the truth adults unlearn. They see what we look past. So I raised my hand. My voice was calm but firm. "Excuse me." I called across the noise. Sarah's head snapped up. Her eyes met mine. Would you like to join us? For a heartbeat, she didn't move. She looked around as if expecting someone else to be the target of my invitation. But my hand was still lifted, palm open in quiet welcome. Lily had already turned fully in her chair, smiling as though Sarah belonged with us all along. Sarah's throat tightened. I could see in the way she hesitated, torn between disbelief and longing. Maybe she thought I didn't mean it. Maybe she worried she'd be a burden. But then she caught Lily's expression, pure innocent warmth, and something shifted. Her voice trembled when it came. Thank you. She pulled the chair carefully, easing into it as though afraid the moment might vanish if she moved too suddenly. For a while, she clutched her bag against her chest, then, realizing it made her look guarded, set it gently at her feet. Lily leaned forward, her fingers smudged with crayon dust. She slid the sketchbook across the table. You can help me, she announced, not as a question but as fact. Sarah blinked, startled. Then, slowly, a faint smile broke through. It wasn't much, but it was real, the first flicker of light across her weary face. She picked up a crayon, her hand trembling slightly. I'd love to. And just like that, she was no longer a shadow against the wall. For a long moment, Sarah just sat there, shoulders stiff as though unsure if she truly belonged. Her eyes darted across the cafe, searching for signs of disapproval. But no one was watching anymore. The crowd had returned to their own little worlds, leaving her safely tucked into ours. Lily broke the silence with the confidence only a child can carry. She pushed a bright green crayon across the table. Here, she said, draw the grass. I'm making a park. Sarah hesitated, then took it gently between her fingers. Her hand shook at first, the line uneven, jagged, almost like it might snap. But as she pressed a waxy tip against the paper, the trembling slowed. Green spilled across the page in soft arcs, patching Lily's half-finished meadow. I watched them, my daughter with her playful certainty, Sarah with her careful strokes, and felt the air shift. The tension around her eased just slightly, like a thread being loosened after being pulled too tight. You're really good, Lily said matter-of-factly, as if this woman she had just met was now her favorite artist. A small laugh slipped from Sarah, quick and almost shy, but real. Not really. I haven't drawn in years. See. Lily grinned at me triumphantly. She's good. Sarah's eyes flicked to me, uncertain again, as if waiting for me to agree. And I did. She's right, I said softly. You are. Her smile lingered this time, faint but warm. She looked down at the paper, as though it were safer to focus on colors than on being seen. For the next few minutes, they worked side by side. Lily chattered about her park and the stick-figure family she was adding. Sarah listened quietly, answering in short but genuine replies. Her voice grew steadier with each word. I noticed her hands. They were rougher than I expected. Skin cracked at the knuckles, nails short and uneven, a faint mark across her palm that looked like it hadn't fully healed. They told a story of work, of long hours, of battles fought quietly. At one point, Lily slid a purple crayon toward her. Can you make flowers? Sarah nodded. She bent low, her hair falling forward as she sketched small blossoms across the green field. Her lines were delicate, careful, almost reverent, as though each flower carried more weight than a simple doodle. When she leaned back, Lily clapped. They're perfect. Sarah's laugh was fuller now, though still edged with disbelief. Perfect a strong word, but I could see what my daughter saw. They weren't just flowers. They were a glimpse of the person hidden beneath the tired shoulders and weary eyes. I leaned closer. You used to draw, didn't you? Her hand stilled. She looked at me, startled, then away again. A long time ago. Before life got busy. There was a silence in that before that spoke volumes. I didn't press. I knew better than to dig at old wounds in a room full of strangers. Instead, I nodded, letting the moment rest. Well, you still have the touch. She gave a small, almost grateful smile. Lily, oblivious to the weight of adult silence, leaned in. You should sit with us again. We come here a lot. Daddy always gets coffee, but I just get cookies." Sarah's breath caught, the invitation catching her off guard. For a second, she looked like she might cry. She masked it quickly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "That's kind of you," she whispered. Maybe I will." I wanted to tell her she didn't need to, maybe, that she was welcome, without condition, every time. But something in her posture reminded me that too much too soon could feel overwhelming. So I just smiled. "You'll always have a seat at our table." Her eyes softened. She looked at me as if she wasn't sure how to accept the kindness, but she wanted to believe it was real. The waitress came by then, setting down a small plate of cookies for Lily and a steaming mug for me. Sarah looked startled, as though she should excuse herself. But the waitress smiled at her too, as if confirming what I'd already said. She belonged here now. "You don't have to order," I said gently. "Just stay." Her hand lingered on the handle of her bag, torn between retreat and surrender. Then she let go. Slowly, carefully, she let herself stay. The three of us sat there, Lily munching happily on her cookies, Sarah adding shy bursts of color to the sketchbook, me sipping coffee and watching the tension drain from her frame little by little. It wasn't dramatic. No one in the cafe turned to applaud. There were no grand declarations, no sweeping gestures. Just a chair pulled out, a place offered, a silence shared until it wasn't silence anymore. But sometimes, the smallest invitations carry the heaviest weight. I realized, watching her laugh softly at something Lily said, that I hadn't just given her a chair. I had given her something rarer, proof that she was seen. The world outside the cafe would still be hard. Whatever story weighed on her shoulders wasn't erased by a few crayons and a seat at a wooden table. But for one morning, she didn't have to stand alone by the wall, waiting for kindness that might never come. She had found it, and in some quiet, unspoken way, we had found her too.